Please remain standing for the prayers from Father Matthew Cashmore, parish priest of St. Anthem Church, Hayes.
Almighty ever-living God, we ask you to be present in this place this evening, to guide hearts and minds in the works of mercy. Your Son instructed us to feed the hungry, to give drink to the thirsty, to clothe the naked, to give shelter to travellers, to visit the sick, to visit the imprisoned, and to bury the dead. Work in the hearts of all here present this evening to offer mercy and grace, peace and love, and above all, wisdom and generosity. And we ask you to bless all present. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to this evening's London Borough of Hillingdon Council meeting on 28th of September. I also welcome warmly those watching us on YouTube across the globe. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councillors. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have apologies from the Deputy Mayor, Councillors Chapman, Curling, Gardner, Gill, Judge and Lakmana. Thank you, and Councillor Money in addition.
Thank you. Order number 2, minutes. The minutes of the meeting of the Council held on 13th July 2023. Are they agreed? Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest? None. Thank you very much. Agenda item 4, my announcements. On behalf of the residents of Hillingdon, it has been our utmost joy and absolute honor to continue to represent the borough within Hillingdon and occasionally outside Hillingdon as well. On the first day of my engagements after the previous council meeting, I attended a summer fair of Pride Academy and the Skills Hub in Useley, a graduation ceremony at Lady Nafisa School. So much fun, passion, pride, and celebrations. I was pleased to attend the Year 6 Leavers show, Pirates of the Caribbean, at Lady Banks Primary School. It was a fantastic show. Lots of potential talent. Enjoyed it. While the head teacher took me on a school tour, the kids asked me brilliant questions and very honest questions. I was so pleased to be invited to join and celebrate a multicultural day at Kingsley Court Care Home. It was a great honor to meet so many residents and their families. Multicultural dancing and music were just incredible. Again, I joined Summer Feast Day event at Kingsley Court Care Home, seeing artistic walls and sceneries and chatting with the staff and fantastic residents was great. Everyone was happy that they were all looked after exceptionally well. I was pleased to be invited to celebrate the 90th anniversary of All Saints Church. Great service. They dedicated services to the community for the last 9 decades are just an inspiration to us. Connect Summer Show and afternoon tea at Fairfield Church in Northwood Hills. Great to meet everyone there. My friend Jeremy Child and his team doing remarkable work for the community. It was a fantastic event at Stardust Big Band gig at All Saints Church again in Long Lane. Great music. Privileged to be sitting in the first row. My ears are still ringing. It was an excellent turn up to support the church to raise money for them. Prakash Program 2023. I was exceedingly pleased to be invited to attend Prakash 2023, organized by Gurdwara Garib Nawaz Ji in Springfield Road, Hayes. A huge event attended by thousands. Events like the Prakash program provide opportunities for community members to connect, interact, and build relationships, make new friends, and strengthen old friendships. These connections foster a sense of belonging, social support, and inclusion within the community. Positive social interactions can enhance mental and emotional well-being, reducing feelings of isolation and loneliness. Also attending Janmashtami Mela at the Navnath Centre in Hayes was an excellent community gathering, hundreds of different stalls. It was an actual demonstration of a mixture of cultures. The mayor of Harrow joined me in a dancing competition. God knows who won. It was a great pleasure to help at Navratri Garba Food Distribution 2023 at Shri Adya Shakti Mataji Temple, Cowley. The president of temple, Jaswant Bhai, is a role model, and his initiative of the food bank fosters a sense of community by bringing together volunteers, donors, and recipients to work together a common goal. Many thanks for the generous donation to the Maize charity. I had a great afternoon at Ruislip Northwood Old Folks Association's AGM and lunch at Tudor Club. Great to support our senior citizens. I was asked to sit at the back table where all the old folks sat. They said the guy sitting next to me is the naughtiest one, but I found him the sweetest one. As all they heard, there was a big laugh from the table. Al-Fla Islamic Educational and Cultural Center in Useley. It was great to be invited to visit the Al-Fla Islamic Educational and Cultural Center in Useley. A 9-year-old young Muslim, Dawood Islam, son of Muhammad Islam, happened to be counselor, warmly welcomed me. It was so lovely to join other brothers and sisters at Friday prayers. A delicious lunch was served. The center also very kindly donated to the Maize charity. It was great to open the 25th Cllr Euro Championship at Brunel University. Cllr is a top-rated board game in the subcontinent. About 11 EU countries participated in the tournament. Very skillful and dedicated players participated. I also enjoyed attending the closing. Excellent community gathering, dinner and dance performances. The Lender of Hillingdon was the proud host of this 25th Cllr Euro Cup. It was an excellent start to the day to open the recently refurbished playground in Fasnich Park. Hillingdon has been continuously improving the parks and playgrounds in the borough. Many residents were there enjoying and playing with their kids in the park. Whenever I bump into Councillor Lavery, something amazing happens, whether it's a clock tower in Hayes or it's improvement in the parks and the playgrounds. I was highly honored to lay a wreath on behalf of the borough at the Polish Air Force commemoration service held at the Polish War Memorial. Seeing a fabulous fly past by a Hurricane fighter was unique, an extremely well-organized ceremony. Again, I was honored to lay a wreath at the wreath-laying ceremony on the 55th anniversary of the Polish Air Force Memorial plaque unveiling at St. Clement Danes Church, Central Church of the Royal Air Force, remembering those who made the ultimate sacrifice. I was honored to attend the Middlesex and North West London Army Cadet Force final parade and presentation at RAAC Museum in Haddon. Many proud parents and London mayors were present to support our armed forces. The men and women of the armed forces play a vital role in protecting our way of life, democracy, and freedom. Our appreciation and support can make a meaningful difference in the lives of those who serve the nation. I have continued the tradition of welcoming people to the Mayor's Parlour. I am pleased to welcome community leaders, professionals, business people, street champions, and school children. I will also invite senior citizens, carers, and teachers, and friends and families. Delighted to welcome a delegation from India. He was a producer and director in Bollywood along with his team. They might be filming in Hillingdon soon in future. An old friend with his daughters visited the parlour. His daughters kindly donated from their pocket money to the Mayor's charity. I was pleased to welcome a Brigadier Naveed Chima of the Pakistan Army to the parlour with his family, and he presented a shield to the Mayor, which will be kept in the parlour. Well done to Anne in completing her challenge, a marathon 1 lap at a time, at 99 years. It is truly a magnificent achievement and an inspiration to us all. I was honored to be invited to the 106th birthday celebrations for Pearl Huckle at Hayes Cottage Nursing Home. Extraordinary day for her and for family. As soon as I saw her, I said, "Do you know me? You used to live in Useley, and you were 101, and I asked you if there's anything I could do for you." She said, "It's so boring, Councillor. I would like to dance." And I said, "The DJ is very naughty, and I danced for you." She giggled, and it was so cute. I was honored to join British Pakistanis to celebrate the 76th Pakistani Independence Day celebrations community meetup. Great community spirit. I'm grateful for the food and their generous donations to the Mayor's charity. This is the beauty of our vibrant, cohesive, and diverse community. Walk with the Mayor happened to be great fun and became talk of the town. It was an excellent opportunity to reach out to the local business community in Uxbridge Road. Chai Master organized the walk. Ames Financial welcomed all of us. Many business friends joined us to walk with us. And then lunch was provided. I think that a small amount of money for my charity was raised. Again, Walk with the Mayor was organized by Hayes Town Partnership and Hayes Business Forum. We visited around 45 businesses. A good number of friends joined the walk. It was greatly appreciated. At the end of the walk, Hayes College London invited us to join them in celebrating their 10th anniversary, and a delicious lunch was served. Walk with the Mayor now has become a borrowed thing. I was delighted to be invited by the chairman of the East Coast Traders Association. We managed to visit about 27 businesses, and it ended at Tag Cafe. A very enthusiastic Ruislip-born young man, owner of the cafe, served very unique tea and sandwiches. It is amazing to visit Charter House in London. It has a fascinating history and an excellent opportunity to network with other London mayors. Thanks to the London Mayors Association for making it a great day. Judging at the Autumn Show 2023 with the Deputy Leader, Councillor Bianco, at the Great Barn in Ruislip was an excellent experience. Fantastic fruit and veg, lots of green-fingered talent. Well done to all those who took part. Many thanks to organizers and participants, and congratulations to show winners. Great time at Costermonger's Harvest Festival, presented by the London Parley Kings and Queens Society in Guildhall Yard. A very colourful gathering. The local community attended it very well. A beautiful day was spent with the local community in Guildhall Yard. It's one of the announcements. I am hosting and would like to invite you to my charity fundraising lunch on Sunday, 19th November 2023 at the London Heathrow Marriott Hotel. It promises a beautiful afternoon with light entertainment and a gorgeous buffet lunch. Everyone is welcome, so please invite all friends and families. Conclusion is that I have recently been invited to the Women's Economic Forum in London. It's an invitation and my nomination for the Best Women of the Year. It reads as follows: honoring your iconic leadership and powerful influence as a role model, it is our privilege to invite you as a speaker and present to you our highest and most prestigious Women Economic Forum Award of Leader of the Decade. But I have sent apologies. That's all from me. Thank you very much for listening. Moving on to agenda item 5, questions from members of the public. Question 5.1 been asked by Mr. Chris Waters of Fairs Avenue, West Drayton, to the Cabinet Member for Resident Services, Councillor Lavery. Councillor Lavery, I'm aware that you will be providing a written answer to Mr. Waters. Thank you very much. Agenda item 6, report of the Head of Democratic Services, Councillor Edwards, the leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. With your permission, I'd like to move items 6.1, 2 and 3 together, and I will then move 6.4 separately. 6.1 is the allowances for members, and this gives effect to the decision of the February Council meeting when we set the budget and increased the council allowance. As I say, this recommendation gives effect, but I wish it to be noted that this is now the third year of the freeze of the special responsibility allowance. Item 6.2 is a 6-month extension rule for the councillor judge who is absent through ill health, and I ask that that be granted, and also that we wish councillor judge a speedy recovery. And item 6.3 is to put before council its audit committee's report, and I put this on behalf of John Cheshire, the independent chair, who we should thank for his diligent work. The work of the audit committee provides a key part in assuring good governance of this council, and the report certifies sufficiency of the council arrangements in 4 key areas: internal audit, external audit, counter fraud and risk management. Mr. Mayor, I move the recommendation 6.1 to 6.3 on the order paper.
Thank you, Leader. Is there seconded by Councillor Bianco?
It is seconded, Mr. Mayor, and I reserve my right.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? 6.4, please. Councillor. Is that agreed? Sorry. Moving on to 6.4, Hillingdon Planning Committee. Councillor Edwards, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 6.4 concerns a change to planning committee arrangements. The aim of this change is to bring about faster planning decisions, to reduce bureaucracy, and to focus member involvement on contentious applications. A review had identified scope to reduce to one planning committee by merging the two existing ones. No changes of consideration for the major applications, and what we expect is that the present reduction in the number of major applications to remain for the foreseeable future. The change will bring about a delegation to officers' decisions that are in accord with the outcomes sought by residents and members. The delegation will also deliver enhanced speed where procedural matters show that referral to the committee adds no value. And here we're predominantly talking about tree preservation orders which routinely pass committee without comment, and also high-speed 2 planning matters that don't allow the council to actually have any meaningful say. However, we are excluding from that delegation site restoration proposals to ensure that we can deliver the best restoration for our residents. The changes will enable residents and members to secure committee hearings for matters where an officer decision is not in accord with the outcome and or conditions sought by way of petition or by member submission. I draw attention to members to points NB1 and NB2 on the order of business. This requests a change of membership at NB1, and NB2 clarifies the call-in matter that the determining officer will be solely the Chief Planning Officer or their deputy. I move the recommendations A to C on 6.4. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second by Councillor Bianco?
And I second and reserve my right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Mathers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, Hillingdon Labour recognises the need to streamline processes for a more effective and efficient council, and we agree with recommendations A and B in changing the planning committee structure, and recognise the changes needed to make the workload reasonable for that committee. However, we have some concerns about the details in recommendation C regarding changes to the planning petition scheme and right to speak as noted in the council document pack. Firstly, if I may just quickly comment on councillor representation. We believe that no changes should weaken the ability for councillors to represent the interests of their ward, and therefore we welcome the amendment in the order of business stating that members' call-ins will be addressed within all officers' reports. Our first concern is about the new planning committee not hearing cases when there are objections to modifications of tree preservation orders. We hope this change isn't weakening the protection of aged and important trees, and so that they won't be disregarded by those wanting to clear land by building works. The council's response and enforcement of this behaviour by building work managers is often a little short of robust, and there are areas we need to strengthen, and it needs to be held publicly accountable and not weakened out of sight, and we hope in this case that is not the intention. The main concern is residents' right to speak. It is important that when we reduce applications for this new committee, that we don't frustrate residents and elected members alike by not allowing the opportunity to speak. We believe that all petitioners should still be heard by planning committee if a lead petitioner wishes to speak, including when their petition is in line with officer recommendations. For example, if an officer objects to an application on one reason, these changes would mean that normally they would not, if the residents object in the same way, be heard. But if the residents object, and there are a range of reasons, we feel it's important they have the right to speak and to express the details of those reasons that don't often come out in petitions. Residents can provide a different perspective and enrich officers' recommendations. This is important so elected members and officers continue to hear the voices of communities and in shaping future policy and local plans. It can also act as a safeguard, adding an extra perspective and argument if a decision is taken to appeal. Residents' right to speak at planning committees, whatever their petition is, whether in line or against officer recommendation, enriches the council and protects it from expensive litigation. I would argue that if residents have gone to the effort of raising petitions, then regardless of offer recommendation, they should have the same speaking rights as any petition and be heard if they wish to be heard. Page 33 seems to remove this right for all lead petitioners to speak and can set a dangerous precedent. The details in these amendments and before us, in both papers, do reduce the right of residents to speak about things in their lives and where they live.
Councillor, I have to stop, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other speakers? Councillor Edwards, would you like to comment, or shall we go to vote? Is that agreed? Thank you very much. Order number 7, questions from members. Question number 7.2, question submitted by Councillor Bridges to the Cabinet Member for Property, Highways and Transport, Councillor Bianco. Councillor Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could the Cabinet Member please provide an update on the current situation regarding the new Platinum Jubilee Leisure Centre in West Drayton, following the collapse of Buckingham's, our appointed contractor?
Councillor Bianco, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Bridges, for asking this question. Buckingham Group Contracting Limited, as they are known in full, were appointed to carry out the construction and completion of the Platinum Jubilee Leisure Centre some time ago. Due diligence at the time was carried out at the time of appointment, and the company passed these tests, including a financial check. The company is well known for carrying out work in this sector. Work was progressing well on site, materials were being delivered and subcontractors carrying out their elements. There was no outward indication that the site was in any difficulty, nor difficulties for the company in delivering this project. It was a surprise, therefore, when it was heard that Buckingham Group had given notice of administration. It is believed that the company's difficulties relate to projects unrelated to the leisure centre in different locations. Since that time, officers have been reviewing the options and taking the steps available to protect the council's interest. Officers have met with the administrator's representative and their agents to discuss the situation. I'm pleased to say that there is a performance bond in place, and discussions have also been held with the bondsperson's agents as well. These matters are ongoing. Full use of the contract provisions are being made, along with the contractual remedies available to the council. The council has taken legal advice to ensure that the correct procedures are being followed in relation to both the contract and the bond. Officers are actively working on routes to procure a replacement contractor at the earliest opportunity, so that the Platinum Jubilee Leisure Centre can be completed as soon as is possible. This is ongoing at the moment, and our appointed consultants are assisting the council through the options available. As you will be aware, the construction industry is in a challenging position at the moment, having become very risk adverse since COVID, leading to more scrutiny on contract terms. Over the coming weeks, the preferred route will be clear, the preferred route will become clearer, but it is important that due process is followed in order to protect the contractual and legal position of the council. In the meantime, steps have been taken to secure the site, protect the works, carry out any necessary works, and it is expected that we will be undertaking necessary enabling and protection works to reduce any impact on the building in the period before a new contractor is appointed. As the building is partially complete, making it weathertight is a priority. Whilst this issue is far from ideal, you and all the residents of Hillingdon may rest assured of the council's determination to see this project through to a successful conclusion as soon as possible. Thank you.
Councillor Bianco, thank you. Councillor Bridges, do you have supplementary?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to question 7.4, question submitted by Councillor Sweeting to the Leader of the Council, Councillor Edwards. Councillor Sweeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Does the Leader recall that a motion to Council on the 10th of September 2020 asked that all from this borough who died in the Great War and who are not listed on the and who are listed in the memorials and church plaques across the borough and were not included in the only book published by the council to remember its war dead from the Great War entitled We Will Remember Them, be included in an addendum to this book. This motion was passed, and in response the Cabinet at its meeting of the 10th of December 2020 committed the council to completing this book by producing an addendum which would include all of the additional memorials which had been identified, including the plaque in St Martin's Church, West Drayton. This addendum has still not appeared in copies of this booklet in the borough's libraries and elsewhere. So when will this commitment by both council and cabinet almost 3 years ago be accomplished? Thank you.
Councillor Edwards, the leader.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Sweeting, for not only your question, but the tenacity with which you have pursued this matter of importance. The borough is rightly proud of our armed services, Mr. Mayor, and the sacrifice that they've made and they continue to make to enable us to live in peace and in freedom. This administration has an enviable record of protecting and promoting our heritage, including our military history. In 2014, to commemorate the centenary of the outbreak of World War II, we published the booklet that Councillor Sweeting has referred to, We Will Remember Them. This is a record of the fallen from Hillingdon in World War I. We believed at that time the records to be full and accurate. In 2017, the Imperial War Museum updated the War Memorials Register, and that revealed 10 previously unknown memorials were recorded as having existed in the borough. These were located in places of employment and clubs and associations, many since long closed. In 2020, Councillor Sweeting drew attention of Council to the omission recorded of those recorded on the triptych in St Martin's Church in West Drayton, and that gave rise to the Council's resolution. Consequent to this motion, in December 2020, Cabinet resolved that the publication of the addendum would also include those recorded on the 10 additional memorials. In October 2022, I was briefed by officers on the steps being taken to resolve the matter, and that briefing was shared with Councillor Sweeting. Officers advised that at the heart of the issue is the inaccuracy of some of the records within the Imperial War Museum and the inability to locate all of the additional memorials. It has been established that 3 of those 10 memorials are recorded as having been removed from the borough, and inquiries have hit a dead end. An appeal to residents for information on the memorials was published in November-December edition of Hillingdon People last year, but that was without response. Publication of the addendum has been held up waiting the resolution of these additional memorials. In the circumstances, I can no longer be confident that the matter will be resolved in the medium or short term, and further delay cannot be justified. I have therefore instructed officers to go ahead and publish an addendum of those that we know now have been omitted from our original booklet, and officers will share the draft of that addendum with Councillor Sweeting next week. An update version of We Will Remember Them will be published online in a format that residents or others can download and print at home or have printed professionally. In addition, an addendum will be published and inserted in these booklets in our libraries. This will ensure that those without digital access can view the records locally. From this point forwards, any further changes to our records of fallen or memorials will only be published online. It is with confidence that I say that the Council could not reasonably do more to ensure the completeness of our commemorative books, and following the publication of the addendum, the officers' times presently allocated to this work must be redeployed to other duties. Should further evidence be brought to light by residents or local historians, we will of course review that information and update our records. Thank you once again, Councillor Sweeting, for your question.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Councillor Sweeting, do you have supplementary?
I thank the leader for those comments. It was disturbing that I couldn't find the booklet in the libraries that I visited. But I have another question, which is linked. Will the leader of the council act on a commitment he made to the then councillor for West Drayton, Janet Duncan, at the meeting with her on the 30th of June 2021, that the council would fund a memorial to the men of West Drayton who died for their country in the 2 world wars, some of whom are not commemorated on any monument? The confirmation of this was sent to a local historian who had undertaken detailed research, which highlighted the fact that so many local Hillingdon men who had made the final sacrifice are not mentioned on any memorial. I thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Mr Mayor, I will happily address that point, and I will assure Councillor Sweeting and colleagues that the Council will appropriately record all our fallen. What we have to do, though, is ensure the accuracy and entitlement to that record, and they are hurdles that have to be overcome. When we are clear on which names are not recorded anywhere and their entitlement to be recorded, we will make appropriate steps for that record to be made. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Moving on to 7.7. Question submitted by Councillor Makwana to the Cabinet Member for Children, Family and Education, Councillor O'Brien. Councillor Makwana.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Can the Cabinet Member please update Council on the 2023 Summer Holiday Activities Programme that was available to the school-aged children and young people of Hillingdon?
Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I thank Councillor Makwana as well for her question. This summer, Hillingdon was able to offer a range of summer activities across the borough to school-aged children. Hillingdon worked with 34 providers to deliver our Holidays Activities Fund programme, the HAF programme I'm just going to refer to in future, offering children in our borough over 19,000 available sessional places during the 5-week period from the 24th of July to the 25th of August 2003. Places were available to children in reception to year 11, so that's ages 5 to 16, who were in receipt of benefit-related free school meals. A further 180 discretionary places were allocated for children who did not meet the free school meals criteria, but were in categories of vulnerability. For example, young carers, children who are looked after, children known to social care, and children with educational health care plans. 150 accessible paid places were utilised as part of the summer youth activity programme across the borough, as well as 70 children and young people who were invited to engage in a variety of targeted activities with our adolescent development team. The holiday activity programme was delivered through some of our internal services, for example, Children's Services, the Summer Activities Programme team and the Adolescent Development Services, Learn Hillingdon, as well as external providers such as the Compass Collection, the Compass Theatre, Primary Sporting Development, Skips, the Canoe Sports Trust and the Cycle Coach. From over 53 venues across the whole of the borough, including theatres, arts venues, youth spaces, children's centres, leisure centres, outdoor parks, green spaces, sports venues, schools, colleges, the university and other community buildings. The programme included sports-based provision, i.e. football, basketball, cycling, cricket and water sports, art-based provisions, dance, drama, music and arts and crafts. Life skills focus on personal development courses, building resilience and cookery skills, STEM courses, coding, RC car racing and multi-activity camps. The Adolescent Development Service delivered a 4-day outdoor residential camp focused on building self-esteem and confidence with a targeted group of young people. The HAF programme also included a specialist drama provision to support young asylum or refugee children and a specialist SEND programme, which was delivered by Primary Sporting Development, the Eden Academy Trust, Hedgewood School and Hillingdon Autistic Care and Support. A child described attending one of the programmes as, "There's so much fun and I like playing the different sports. I enjoy being competitive and working in my team with my friends. The coaches challenge me so much I can do my best." And a parent provided feedback saying, "It's great that these activities are provided for underprivileged children, giving them free activities and a healthy meal. It's also a good opportunity for parents to talk to other parents." Further to all that has gone on with the summer holidays activities, I would also like to mention the new space at Botwell Library in Hayes, the creation of a new team room which has been utilised by hundreds of young people since it opened in early summer. This is dedicated space for after-school learning during term time, and was also very thoughtful throughout the was very useful throughout the public exam series this year, and also during the summer holidays, during the weekdays Monday to Friday. Thank you.
Councillor Ryan, thank you. Councillor Makwana, do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can the Cabinet Member please update the Council on how much Hillingdon Activities Food Fund was allocated to support children with special educational needs and disabilities during the summer period?
Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Makwana, for your supplementary question. Yes, I can. Hillingdon provided funding to Primary Sporting Development, the Eden Academy Trust, Hedgewood School, and Hillingdon Autistic Care and Support, HACS as an acronym, to provide specialist SEND programmes for children with more complex needs. A total of £180,000 was dedicated to these programmes. We also provided £4,000 of funding to the London Taekwondo Falcons, who delivered a mainstream programme and offered a weekly session for children with special educational needs. And an additional £2,100 on providing extra staffing for sessions delivered by providers Skips and Get Active to support children with SEND accessing their mainstream provision. All of our providers are expected to be inclusive and support those with additional needs to engage in their mainstream provision. The Council has a very good working relationship with its special schools in the borough, and the summer programme in the specialist schools venues was particularly successful this year, as the staff know the children and their specific needs. Parents and carers feel comfortable leaving their children, as they know the staff team and are confident that they know that their child's needs will be met. The children benefit from being in an environment that they know, with staff that they may recognise from their term time engagement. I'd like to acknowledge the work of Marie Fleming, especially, Hillingdon's Hillingdon Activity Fund Coordinator, who was able to create such a varied and inclusive schedule of programming for this summer. Thank you.
Councillor O'Brien, thank you. Moving on to question number 7.6, question submitted by Cllr Punja to the Cabinet Member for Property, Highways and Transport, Councillor Bianco. Cllr Punja.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can the Cabinet Member please explain why, when there are multiple potholes in an area of road, only the one photographed and submitted as a service request is filled in despite being informed of the others in the further information box? Thank you.
Councillor Bianco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Puja, for your question. By way of background, Hillingdon's road network runs to approximately 435 miles of carriageway and 755 miles of footway. And this goes some way, I believe, in demonstrating the challenges we face in maintaining the network. The Council has strict scheduled safety inspection programme, which must be achieved to meet our obligations under the Highways Act 1980 to maintain carriageways and footways in a safe condition, as well as enabling us to defend claims from third parties. To be clear, however, this does not mean that the Council is required to repair every defect of which it is aware or made aware of. When a defect is reported or identified, highways inspectors will objectively assess the severity, nature and location of the defect to determine how urgent the work required is. Defects will only be repaired if they are regarded as hazardous or serious, and in order that consistent standards are adopted throughout the borough, clearly defined categories known as intervention levels have been set. Following the implementation of the Highways Inspection Policy in 2018, the Council has secured significant savings on the amount of claims made against it. This policy complies to industry best practice, providing us with value for money and ensuring we target our not unlimited resources to where they are most needed. Along with routine safety inspections, the team conducts a range of ad hoc inspections of the road network to identify defects that need to be repaired to ensure the safety for users. Hillingdon has rightly invested heavily in maintenance of its valuable road network, which we know has been very well received by our residents. This is, of course, against a backdrop of ever-decreasing funding from TfL and the anti-car, anti-out to London Mayor Sadiq Khan. Indeed, Mr. Mayor, it will shock you, and I am sure the other members present, to know that from a position of previously receiving over £1 million a year funding for repairs and maintenance to TfL roads, please note, in the borough, we received nothing during the COVID pandemic years, only £200,000 last year and nothing again this year. In order to keep our road network and residents safe, there are a number of significant repairs that we have had to carry out to these TfL roads at our own expense, which has left us out of pocket to the tune of £1.5 million to date. Despite this willful neglect of the residents of Hillingdon by Sadiq Khan, looking at the number of work orders issued, I can see that there has been an increase in the number of repairs completed by the teams as they continue to work extremely hard in these challenging circumstances. In addition to this, Mr. Mayor, I am delighted to inform you and all the councillors present that we have recently invested further in our road network with the purchase of a new environmentally friendly, efficient and cost-effective maintenance machine. This new technology is faster to repair defects and uses 70% recycled material. The new road mending material, Elastomac, is poured directly into a pothole with no need for widening or compacting and no waste to remove. This investment will mean we are able to repair more defects more quickly and at less cost, while also addressing multiple defects, if appropriate, at the same time. And it is this type of strategic, investor-saved, sound financial management that Hillingdon residents have come to expect from this administration, and why they continue to support it and return Hillingdon Conservatives to offices at all levels.
Councillor Bianco, thank you. Cllr Punja, do you have a supplementary question?
I do, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bianco, for your quite broad explanation of quite a simple question. I would therefore like to ask the Cabinet Member once again, despite the fact that the contractors go back out to the same place once we identify, when the councillors identify that this pothole hasn't been filled in the same area, why could that have not done beforehand?
Councillor Bianco.
Mr. Mayor, I can't answer the specifics relating to a particular location, but if Councillor Punja would like to furnish me by email with the address and location of this, I can look into it and let her know.
Thank you. Moving on to 7.1, questions submitted by Cllr Reeta Chamdal to the Cabinet Member for Resident Services, Councillor Leary. Cllr Reeta Chamdal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can the Cabinet Member please update Council on the rollout of pay-by-phone parking across the borough?
Councillor Leary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to Cllr Reeta Chamdal for your question. I'm delighted to inform Council that the rollout of pay-by-phone parking is going very well across the borough. We began with an initial trial in 4 wards on Monday the 5th of June, and we chose 4 wards in the north of the borough, being Eastcote, Ruislip Manor, South Ruislip and Ruislip. The trial was done to ensure that the Hillingdon First card could easily be worked by residents with the new parking scheme before we began rollout across the borough. The initial trial was very successful, and the full rollout began on the 31st of July, which included all locations apart from the 2 car parks here in Uxbridge. Those car parks, for those who know them, have traditionally worked by you paying on exit. The work is virtually complete, that they will revert to what all our other car parks are, which is you buy a ticket when you go in. The final rollout will therefore take place on the 10th of October in the Uxbridge multi-storey car parks of Cedars and Granges, when they will become standard pay and display. From the 5th of June to the 31st of August, there have been 77,516 pay-by-phone sessions activated. Of these, 19,938 were users of Hillingdon First cards, and as at 22nd of August, 7,358 accounts have linked their Hillingdon First cards to pay-by-phone. Feedback has been very positive. The contact centre has been very helpful with occasional assistance in linking cards and verifying Hillingdon First card numbers. My thanks to the parking services staff for the successful rollout, and also to the contact centre staff for the work they have done to ensure that cards can be linked. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Avery. Cllr Reeta Chamdal, do you have a supplementary question?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to 7.5, question submitted by Councillor Mathers to the Leader of the Council, Councillor Edwards. Councillor Mathers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can the Leader of the Council shed some light on how the determination is made on whether to use in-house officers or external consultants when conducting transformation, service reviews or consultation?
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much, Councillor Mathers, for the question and my opportunity to explain to you and to our residents our use of consultants. The administration, is synonymous with sound financial management, has already been mentioned, and key to the delivery of that sound financial management are 2 initiatives, the Hillingdon Improvement Programme and Business Improvement Delivery. Together, these ensure ongoing reviews of services and structures to ensure that residents continue to receive high-quality services and best value for money. Improving the efficiency and effectiveness of our services has never been more important than within the context of the present economic conditions. It is our expectation that senior managers routinely examine, scrutinise and transform services in order that every pound we spend is spent well. The great majority of service improvement and transformation that we've identified and implemented has been led by our senior managers without external support. But it is good business sense that we have staffing structures that are not fixed in place against peak levels of demand, and that we are able to utilise flexible resource when required. We recognise that there is a need for ongoing transformation for the foreseeable future, and we are building a permanent transformation team of business analysts and financial personnel with the capability to undertake wider and deeper operational reviews and zero-based budgeting. We deliberately have a lean management structure, and we use external resource consultants to supplement that management structure when it is necessary, owing to issues of capacity and pace. The 2 are often combined. Capability, and here I will refer to the capability, and that's experience, particularly in the technical areas and areas of modern complexity, digital technology. And capability, I mean by external review, we are unable to review ourselves with external eyes. And it is sometimes very helpful and necessary to bring a fresh perspective and objective insights based upon that objective insight to enable us to develop our areas of business and service deliveries in question. And also because the question mentions consultation, we do use consultants particularly where the issue is sensitive and the legal requirement is for formal consultation. It is sometimes a wise use of external independent consultants. Let me give you some examples of the consultants and where we have used them. With regards to the capacity and pace, in the first 2 years of my leadership, we used consultants to re-examine our savings programme, and they have delivered additional savings for us. It required a deep dive and benchmarking across all services and has provided not only agenda for change that has happened, but an agenda for future savings. With regards to capability, we've used consultants for the robotics, channel shift, not only helping us do that, but designing, implementing, and more importantly, training our own staff so that we can further roll out these new initiatives. We've certainly used consultants to help us with the comprehensive digital transformation across all areas of the council. This is a fast-moving area, fast-moving developments, requires expertise, and it's unrealistic to expect a council to host all of that expertise itself. And there are benefits to be gained from leveraging in experts, and we have formed partnerships to do that. We've also used consultants when we want a second opinion, the external challenge, the fresh eyes, and we've used them with regards to housing, our homelessness prevention and management, and tenancy management and repairs very soon. There will be others. And as I've mentioned, the sensitivity and capacity issues relate to things like the Family Hubs Network Consultation Programme and the Hayes Regeneration. In each case, consideration is given on its own merits with a key eye on return to investment. I hope that gives some guidance of how we use it. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Mathers, do you have a supplementary question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Does the Leader agree with me that asset disposal to pay and fund business transformation should be used cautiously and sparingly, as these assets could affordably relieve the shortage of council housing for future generations if developed appropriately?
Councillor Edwards.
I would go further and say that we should cautiously dispose of all of our assets. I prefer to retain assets to the best that we can, and where we do need to dispose of them, rather, my own preference, rather than surrendering them or selling them for a fixed sum at the time, where we can turn that into an ongoing annuity, that is a preferred approach for me. However, when we do dispose of assets, it is a matter for the Director of Finance to determine how best to account for that money exchange and whether or not it is used against housing build or against consultants or any other matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Moving on to question number 7.3, question submitted by Cllr Denys to the Cabinet Member for Children, Families and Education, Councillor O'Brien. Councillor Denys.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can the Cabinet Member please provide an update on RAAC, which is known as Reinforced Autoclaved Aerated Concrete, in Hillingdon's community and foundation schools?
Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Denys. And you have so eloquently explained RAAC. I shan't elongate it any further in my answer. So as of today's date, we do not believe any of our community or foundation schools have RAAC present. However, as a precaution, the Council immediately instigated a programme of rechecking schools where required. The results to date are as follows. 37 schools are confirmed as having no RAAC present. That's either through inspection, or they are schools that have been newly built, or buildings that have been partially or fully built by the Department for Education, and therefore no inspections were required. 2 schools are being rechecked to confirm the most recent inspections assertion that no RAAC is present. These schools will be inspected tomorrow, the 29th of September. 1 school had a small area of the building that was not fully accessible, so requires opening up. Works have been arranged to do that. Most areas of these schools could be most areas of the schools could be accessed, and no RAAC was present, as the inaccessible areas are of the same age, it's not very likely that there will be different construction material used between one location to the other within the actual school. As most members will be aware, most of our academies, our free schools and UTCs, University Technical Colleges, do not fall under Council's responsibility and therefore will be inspected via the Department for Education surveys. The Council has written to these education establishments with the option of having RAAC inspections carried out by the Council's consultants, with the cost to be recharged back to the schools. It is worth noting, however, that a number of schools that have been newly built or rebuilt since 2000 have been excluded from inspections, as RAAC has stopped being used since the mid to late 1990s. Therefore, this material will not be present in very many Hillingdon schools because of their being newly built. One secondary academy school has confirmed the presence of RAAC in their building. The school is back now doing full face-to-face learnings after a 2-day closure and 1 day of learning online. But they are now back and have changed their timetable to accommodate. I can also confirm this evening that the 3 early years centres have all been inspected and they have no RAAC present either. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Cllr Denys, do you have a supplementary question?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to order number 8, motions. 8.1, motion from Cllr Kaur. Cllr Kaur.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sherry Einstein, an author celebrated for her writings on decision-making, participatory decision-making to be precise, once said, "The idea of citizen participation is little like eating spinach. No one is against it in principle because it is good for you. Consulting residents is one way to ensure their participation in democratic decision-making process, and that is why I feel compelled to move this motion. Hillingdon is a diverse, multicultural, multilingual borough of nearly 310,000 people. But despite being the 3rd most populous borough in London, the response rate to its public consultations is consistently disappointingly low, clearly disproportionate, and unambiguously skewed. Over the course of the last year and a half as a public representative, I have come to better understand the significance of public consultation as well as the lack of it. I have now experienced firsthand how the decisions made and approved by the members in this chamber have a lasting impact not only on all our residents at present time, but in the generations to come as well. However, I sincerely believe Hillingdon needs to review its consultation procedures and policies if it wishes to make a positive difference to the lives of all its residents, because no consultation this term has touched the 1,000 mark yet. And that is a very dismal, about 0.3% of the population. Why? Can you hazard a guess about the number of responses received to the Court for the Infant School consultation? Shockingly, only 2. Only 2. And that is not all. The inference drawn from that was, given the relatively small number of responses and high number of potential consultees, it is assumed that there is a consensus to implement the proposals. The consultation on library strategy received 865 responses, 75% of which from the wards in the north of the borough. 74% respondents were white, 643 heterosexual, 375 Christians. Similarly, the consultation on council strategy, 350 responses, majority white. Consultation on Hillingdon's youth offer and delivery, only 123 responses, again majority white. Interestingly, according to the minutes of the meeting on the issue, officers acknowledged a lack of visibility. Family Hub strategy consultation, 690 responses, a majority, 48% white. 123 responses to PSPO consultation, 79 white, 8 Asian, 5 black, 2 mixed. Majority respondents again from HA4, UB8. 55 Christians, 2 Hindus, 3 Muslims, 1 Sikh, no Jew. 84 heterosexuals. The responses, as the Council's own report suggests, are from residents who are predominantly white, Christian, and live in the north part of the boroughs. Kudos to them who all take part in the consultations. But if the policies are devised and delivered based on these skewed responses, can they truly be geographically fair, inclusive, and diverse? Is it not the Council's responsibility to equally empower, include, and engage with its non-white population and residents living in the south of the borough? Why are the consultation questionnaires not available in Punjabi, Polish, Tamil, Urdu, Somali, Hindi, or other languages? Are we engaging enough with faith and other ethnic groups around consultations? Or perhaps it is the tokenism of consultation that has kept the responses low. For instance, during the consultation on PCNs, it was observed, and I quote, "While the result of the public consultation indicates a majority against these proposals, the proposal is still considered to have merit." And what happened to the objections to the appropriation of land at formerly useless swimming pool? 77% of respondents were dissatisfied with the budget proposals this year, and yet their views were overlooked. Is that why consultations are held? Seriously? It is either by design or because of these flawed, extremely limited data sets, we witness such disparity across the north and south of the borough, and for this very reason, I implore the Council reviews the consultation process, engages meaningfully, and give all our residents from across the borough an equal voice. I move the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Edwards, you indicated. It is seconded by Councillor Wilson.
Mr. Mayor, I second this motion because if we are truly here to serve our communities, consulting with all parts of our communities must be the object to bring about geographical parity. I realize that it is unrealistic to think you can consult everyone about everything. But government guidelines on consultation suggest that you should strive to achieve a representative cross-sections of views to ensure that you understand different views within the community. The guidance say that it is important that consultation is representative of our communities and include geographical parity. The Council focus on digital transformation has isolated members of our community when it is said it wouldn't. Many residents have voiced their concern that the Council is ignoring and attempting to marginalize them from participating on surveys and consultation. Residents have reported that this Council does not have any empathy or sympathy for individuals who are unable to use the technology rolled out by this Council and goes on to implement policies affecting the whole borough when only a small portion of the borough participate. The recent Oldest People's Assembly demonstrate this point with residents not happy. One does not need to be a mathematician to realize that Hillingdon consultation response rates are extremely low and do not represent the diverse communities this Council is making policies for. For example, the consultation on rebranding Hillingdon Park in PCN has 656 responses, despite 3.75 million pay and display tickets per annum issued to residents in the borough. The highest number of respondents were from HA4, 142 respondents. Hillingdon needs to find creative ways to reach out to non-IT literate people, the elderly people with disability, special needs, hard of hearing, partially sighted, blind, or politically disengaged communities. The Council are continuously reminded to use community groups, faith groups, and other engaged groups. Provide paper survey to communities in most spoken language within the borough, and arrange consultation across the borough. They fail to do so. And while they cannot ensure that all parts of the community contribute to consultation, they can at least say they tried. And maybe
Councillor
over
Nelson,
time,
can you
a more
stop?
coherent and reflective,
Councillor
robust
Nelson,
consultation will
the
be
time is up.
delivered by the Council in its current tick box. Thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And I will probably surprise colleagues opposite that there is consensus on a fair bit of what has been said. That I think we all share a disappointment that for all the hard work our officers do on consultation, more residents are not motivated to respond to consultation. But that situation is not unique to this council or to the topics you've mentioned. And we agree that the council should engage with all of our communities, ethnic and geographic, and give equal chance to hear from them. But consultation is not a singular process, neither is it a referendum. I must remind council that there is always ongoing consultation. The regular engagement with our community and faith leaders, regular engagement with our residents association and tenants groups, the assemblies, the older people's assembly, forums, carers, younger people. The range of consultation we undertake is also quite varied, from statutory consultation, planning and highways, borough-wide, such as our budget, which is difficult to excite many people on, to targeted geographic neighbourhood type, like Hayes Regeneration, or sector service user, the family hubs. The method of consultation is determined accordingly. And I note here, and everybody should note, that consultation is not free. Each costs, and there are finite resources, and we must use those resources proportionately. The response rate varies. We accept that. Hayes Regeneration Scheme and Family Hubs were both examples, good examples, where targeted consultation has worked well. We have derived a good response that is representative. And I pick up the words about equal empowerment to our communities. And I note that Councillor Kerr and your colleagues, for all of the hard canvassing you do, you have only been able to achieve a turnout of 28% in your ward. Whereas in Eastcote, my turnout is 42. But I won't claim that as a consequence of the strength of my consultation or campaigning. It's probably a reflection of the interest of the communities we have in the issues that we bring. And it is not surprising, and it is my supposition, that the wards and neighbourhoods of working families, growing families, have less time, energy and interest to respond in our consultation. But that shouldn't stop us striving towards the outcome that you say we should achieve, that I believe will be impossible to achieve. However, we are willing to learn from the others. We are willing to seek and borrow from best practice. And I think the best place that we can ask this review to be taken place is through the Select Committee. I therefore move the amendment as published on the order paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Is that seconded?
Beg your pardon, Mr. Mayor. I second and reserve my right.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
Mr. Mayor, if I could just come in at this point and remind members we are now debating the amendment, which is as set out at the bottom of page 5 and the top of page 6. I think Councillor Sweeting has indicated.
Councillor Sweeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I speak in support of the amendment. The statistics mentioned in Councillor Kerr's speech say it all. We are not piercing through to all our residents via our consultations. Yes, some Hillingdon residents are responding, and well done to them. But evidence shows that they tend to come from a narrow group. So what are we doing wrong? And what steps are we taking to make things better? Are we asking why we are only getting answers from a narrow section of our residents? Do we undertake evaluations of our consultations, as other councils do? Has this issue ever formed a major review for some or even all of our select committees to chew over? And if not, why not? Have we listened and acted upon the advice provided by the Greater London Authority on how councils should evaluate their consultations? This by asking questions such as, did the consultation achieve its object? Did we use the correct methods? Did we reach our required response rate? Did we reach all of our communities? Did our residents understand what we were asking of them? Was the consultation user-friendly? What would we do differently next to get a better result? Have we ever undertaken an in-depth analysis as to why we in Hillingdon are not reaching some of our residents' groups when other councils have a far better success rate? It is to be hoped that the major review by corporate services will come up with some answers and deliver results. One final note. One consultation which finishes tomorrow in respect of the local plan review call on sites exercise is a case in point when we think about whether our consultations are user-friendly. Where residents I know of almost started throwing things at their computer screens when trying to fill in the online form, when at various stages no progress could be made and there was no online help button available. So if our council is to be serious about putting all of our residents first, we must take measures in place that reach out effectively to all and not be content with low response which has come from a small section of our Hillingdon family. I thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sweeting.
Mr. Mayor, no other speakers are indicated, so in which case the order would be Councillor Bianco, who reserved his right, doesn't want to speak, then Councillor Kaur as the mover of the original motion, and then finally Councillor Edwards as the mover of the amendment.
Councillor Bianco. Councillor Kaur.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am pleased that the Leader of the Council and friends of the other side realize merit in engaging with diverse communities of the borough and have agreed to review its consultation process to allow diversity and inclusion, and most importantly, to make efforts towards geographical parity, albeit reluctantly and sort of washing hands of the responsibility of the lack of it for all these years. It will still go a long way to make Hillingdon a better place for all its residents. And the Spinach superwoman that I quoted earlier, she had also made a profound observation. She said, participation of the governed in their government, in theory, is a cornerstone of democracy, a revered idea that is vigorously applauded by virtually everyone. However, the applause reduced to polite hand claps when this principle is advocated by the have-nots. And when the have-nots define participation as redistribution of power, the American consensus on the fundamental principle explodes into many shades of outright racial, ethnic, ideological, political opposition. However, today, Hillingdon has decided to give its have-nots a voice too. It has today shown courage and conviction to move in the right direction. Like Maya Angelou said, do the best you can until you know better. When you know better, do better. I am pleasantly surprised and happy to accept the amendment suggested by the Leader of the Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kaur. Councillor Edwards. Now we are moving on to vote. Those in the favour of amendment. Thank you. It's carried.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That becomes the substantive motion as set out at the top of page 6, to which further speeches can be made, or if not, we can go to vote on that.
So there's no speakers, so we're going to go into the vote. Those in the favour of substantive motion. Thank you. This brings us to the end of this meeting. I formally close the meeting.